And here we go. We are back. This is episode 27 of our franchise mode with the Calgary Flames. And we are in the off-season here on NHL 18, by the way. We are in the off-season here of 2019. We are just about to enter our third season as the GM of the Calgary Flames. And what an episode 26 was. If you missed it, I highly recommend you go and rewatch it because it was quite the intense episode, as everything the title would suggest. We made a flurry, and I mean a flurry of transactions, including moves and signings. It was a pretty busy 10 first days of July. As you can see, we took over in episode 26. We began with July 1st, and we only got up to July 10th. But that's because we made a lot, and I mean a lot of moves in that 10 days, as I reiterate there. But no, it was a very busy episode 26. In fact, we pretty much retooled our team. I think that's fair to say. That's what I put in the title description for episode number 26, and I think it's pretty fair to say, because we definitely retooled our team. Excuse me. It could be good or it could be bad. A lot of mixed reaction from that episode because I should run down the moves that we made here first. And then we'll go from there. So, looking at, in episode 25, we re-signed Matthew Tkachuk. That was pretty much the only move. We re-signed Andrew Mangiapane and Rasmus Andersson. But then in episode 26, we made a number of moves. So, let's go to transactions, and let's show you all the moves here that we made in the last episode, in case you did not watch it. But again, I highly recommend you go and watch it. So you can see we made a number of trades. And the reason we did this is because we were up against the cap, and we had some work to do. So, in episode 26, we were looking for a number one goalie, and we were looking for a top-line right winger. We had Sam Bennett, we had Craig Anderson. Bennett was the pending RFA. So we had to make a decision there. So first things first is we had to free up some salary. So this is a quick recap of episode 26. I'm going to go really quick here. We had to free up some salary. So we traded away one of our depth players, Michael Frolik. He was on our third line. He was 82 overall. We traded him away with Joe Morrill. Frolik was making $4.3 million. Joe Morrill was making 1.6, something like that. We traded them both away to Nashville. We got a second-round draft pick and a third-round draft pick in the 2020 draft. Then we went out and got our number one goalie. So we decided to move on from Craig Anderson, the guy that carried us to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and we picked up the guy that beat us in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals and won the Conn Smythe, John Gibson. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they decided to go with Andrei Vasilevskiy, and they were wanting to trade John Gibson, so we went after Gibson. We had the option of going after Cam Talbot in free agency, but we chose John Gibson because he's 5 years younger, medium elite, 88 overall. With that, we had to trade away Craig Anderson again. He had dropped to an 85 from an 87. We also put in our top prospect in Tyler Parsons, 79. I believe he had high starter potential. I'm really trying to keep and hang on to that guy, but we just couldn't make this trade go through without putting in Tyler Parsons, who was still, I would say, about 2 to 3, probably 2 full years away from being NHL ready, and we obviously need a win now. We don't have 2 years to wait, so we packaged him with Craig Anderson, who we picked up at the deadline, and our first-round pick in 2020, and we got John Gibson, one of the most elite goalies right now in the NHL. Like I said, he just won the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup as a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning, so we brought him in, and then we traded away Dmitry Yaskins there. We got a fourth-round pick from Columbus. We traded away Hunter Shinkaruk, fourth-round pick as well. Both those moves to also free up some salary, and we still didn't have enough salary to go after either Sam Bennett or anybody in free agency for our top-line right-wing spot, so we had no choice but to trade away Travis Hamonic, one of our top 4 defensemen. He was an 83 overall, and we traded him away for a 2020 first. That allowed us to go into free agency and go after a big player, one of the top players there in free agency, and that's not the signing. Here we go, in free agency, and you can see here a number of moves that teams have made, but we made a big one here. We signed Blake Wheeler, so we decided that we were going to move on from Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett is an 84, low elite potential. We didn't want to take that risk, not knowing how high he would grow. Blake Wheeler is already an 86. He's an exact 86. He's a proven top-line right winger, listed as a first-line forward, so we decided that we were going to take a risk and move on from Sam Bennett. and sign Blake Wheeler. So we signed him to a 3-year contract, $6.5 million per season to get Blake Wheeler, one of the top free agent forwards. With that, the Philadelphia Flyers sent a claim in for Sam Bennett. They signed him to an offer sheet. Obviously, when we signed Blake Wheeler, we didn't have the cap to match that, so that was okay because we were moving on from Sam Bennett anyway. We were going to let this guy walk anyway. So they signed him to an offer sheet. 2-year deal, $6 million per season for Sam Bennett in Philadelphia. As a result, we got Philadelphia's 2020 first and their 2020 third. So again, that is just a really quick recap of what went down in episode 26. You can see that all happened in a span of 10 days for us. So there was a flurry of moves that went on here in the first 10 days. Again, a lot of it is because we had to reconstruct our team with the cap space. We just did not have the cap room to make any moves, so we had to ship out a lot of salary. But we also took in a lot of salary, primarily with John Gibson and Blake Wheeler. So Blake Wheeler, I said 3 years at $6.5 million per season. We had to go 6.5 because there was about 5 other teams bidding for Blake Wheeler. So it was kind of an expensive deal, but we definitely got the guy that is going to be a top-line right winger. Should be a lock there on that top line with Monahan and Gaudreau, or excuse me, Tavares and Gaudreau, as that's where Sam Bennett was. Only 32 years of age, so I don't expect that 86 to drop down. Probably in the next 3 years, so we should be okay. 3 years is pretty good too. It's not too long, so that's pretty good. In terms of where else we took in a lot of salary in that episode was John Gibson. This is the one that really hurt. But again, look at that player, 88 overall, medium elite, 25 years of age. You don't find these goalies often. This will give us a proven #1 goalie for a long time. Again, we have not had a type of goalie like this since Mika Kiprusoff in Calgary. It's been a long time, almost a decade, over a decade of wheeling and just rolling with random goalies that really haven't worked out. And finally, we have a young up-and-coming goalie that could be with this organization for a long time. So an 88 overall, he's already one of the top goalies right now in the league, but it did come at quite a price tag. Again, the reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner, 7.69 for the next 2 years. So what I liked about this is it was only 2 years. I doubt we're going to regret this, but if we did, it's only for 2 years. Obviously, we probably want to re-sign him after 2 years, especially if his overall goes up. He'll probably be around a 90 overall, hopefully maybe even better than that. But it's going to come at quite the price tag. It already is at quite the price tag with 7.69. That is a lot of money per season, but he is probably going to be our MVP type of player this upcoming season. We're going to rely on him for 60-plus games. As you can see here, we don't even have a backup goalie. This Nick Schneider is not an NHL backup goalie, so we still have to go after a backup goalie. So really, I mean, whoever we get, it doesn't matter. John Gibson is going to be our guy for 60-plus games. We are risking everything that he does not get injured and he carries this team because we are paying him a lot of money to do so, and we need him to do so because we are going to rely on him. And we also weakened our defensive core with the loss of Travis Hamonic. So going to get to that here right now. Actually, again, you can't see the lineups because on NHL 18 in the offseason, there's no way I can look at the lineups. I do wish they would bring that back where you can look at your lines in the offseason, but that is just the fact that we can't right now. So I penciled out all the lines in front of me. I've got them in front of me. I'll just quickly tell them to you quickly again here. So our top line, Johnny Gaudreau, 89, John Tavares, 91, Blake Wheeler, 86. So we brought in Blake Wheeler in that top line. He's penciled in as that top line right winger, 86 to go along with Gaudreau and Tavares. That's a pretty good top line. Second line looks like this, Sean Monahan centering at 88. Matthew Tkachuk at 87, and James Neal at 84. So again, that's a pretty solid top 6 as well. 2 really heavy lines there, and we really did that last season too, but we're going to continue going into this season with 2 very heavy lines. In fact, we upgraded that line by getting Blake Wheeler over Sam Bennett. Third line looking like this, Mark Jankowski centering that line at 79. Andrew Mangiapane moves up on that line at 77. And Chris Versteeg moving on that line at 79 as well. So Versteeg and Mangiapane move up to that line. We obviously lost a lot of depth players in the offseason, like I said. We lost Michael Frolik, who was on that line. He was an 82. We lost Dmitry Yaskins, who was a bottom six forward for us, and we lost Michael Furland. That's a big one that I forgot to mention. Michael Furland went to free agency because we couldn't re-sign this guy, so we lost him. So we lost a lot of guys on our bottom six. But that allowed Andrew Mangiapane here to step up. He is high top 9 potential, 77 overall. I have full confidence that this guy could grow this season and hopefully replace Michael Furlik, who is an 82 on that line. There's no doubt about it. Mangiapane should get to an 82 at some point in his career, whether that's this upcoming season or not. He's not too far behind at 77 overall and high top 9 potential. If he plays on the third line for most of the season, then he should be okay. This would be his first full NHL season. He just missed the NHL last year. He just failed to crack our team in training camp last year, and as a result, he played the entire season in the AHL, but he did come up when we had to call him up for injury. So that's a look at the third line. Fourth line looking like this right now. It's just Derek Roy. We have Cedric Parquet, but he is a pending RFA. We still have to offer him a contract. That's not going to be easy because I think he's asking for over $1 million. But we'll try and do our best there with Parquet. When it comes to the blue line, again, we took a bit of a shot at our blue line, weakened it slightly by losing Travis Hamonic. So our top pairing looks like this. We have Dougie Hamilton and Mark Giordano, TJ Brody there as well, and then we lost Travis Hamonic, who is an 83. So replacing him will be Rasmus Anderson, who has top 4 medium potential. I believe he can grow as well from a 76, hopefully. And then we got Brett Kulak and Slater Cuckoo to round out our top 6. We traded away Joe Morrow in that last episode because he was only an 85 and he was making like I said, I think 1.6 million, and we needed to free up that cap space. So we made a trade there, lost one of our defensemen, and then lost Travis Hamonic, who we had to trade to St. Louis. So that is a quick look, and then like I said, John Gibson in between goal, and that's all we got right now. So again, that is just a really quick look and a really quick recap of what happened in the last episode. But yeah, I mean, you can see we still have some work to do. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. What happened in the last episode, we lost a lot, and I mean a lot of good players, depth players on our team, and we made a lot of risky moves. I mean, we took a risk on Sam Bennett. We don't know what that guy's going to grow, so we took a risk and let him go. We brought in Blake Wheeler, which was risky as well. We took a risk on John Gibson, and we took a risk at letting Tyler Parsons, an elite prospect, go. I mean, we took a risk at trading Michael Furlik and Travis Hamonic, really taking a shot at our depth. So I mean, the moves, they happen for a reason, but there's only one way to find out if we benefit from all those moves or if not. Like I said, there's only going to be one way that this goes. Either those moves turned out for the better or for the worse. So again, we won't know until we continue to sim forward and into the next season. But I hope we made the right moves. They were risky moves for sure. We definitely lost a lot of good players. I think if this was real life, you would not see a team that just made it to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals trade away that many key pieces. Like, I mean, Craig Anderson, Michael Frolik, Travis Hamonic, even depth guys like Dmitry Yaskins, Michael Furlan. Like, you wouldn't see a team that just went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals in real life lose that many players. But this isn't real life. Obviously, there's no team chemistry in this game. There used to be, but there's no such thing as team chemistry right now. I think if that was real life, you would really have hurt your team chemistry, and I don't think you would have seen a team that made it to Game 7 of the Finals make that many changes. But we did. We completely retooled our team in a way. Brought in a whole new goaltender, gutted that entire position, brought in a whole new goaltender, weakened our defense a little bit, but also strengthened our forward top 6, weakened our depth a bit. But those were the risks we had to take. I hope they're the right moves. I hope they are. So there's only one way to find out. So I don't want to focus too much on that right now. Like I said in this episode, this is episode 27. Welcome to episode 27, by the way. We are going to get through the rest of this off season, and then we are going to get straight into training camp and preseason. So there's lots to get to at this episode, so I want to speed this up, if we will. But we still have, like I said, I just went through the lineups. We still have some holes we got to fix. So when we look at our forwards, again, I'm looking at the lines in front of me here. We only have one guy technically penciled in on our fourth line. That's Derek Roy, 77 overall. Cedric Parquet, we got to offer him a contract. He's 77 overall, pending RFA. We still got to add a third member to that fourth line, possibly a second if we don't bring back Parquet. Defense, I wouldn't mind, I said it in the last episode, I wouldn't mind looking at adding another defenseman. We're going to start with that, but we'll get to that in a second. And goaltending, we have to add a backup goalie behind John Gibson. Now, the good thing about this is, I don't know if I showed this in the last episode or not, but when we go here to free agency and we go to forwards, so when we look at our depth forward group, we need to add a couple fourth line players. We have lots of options out here. Now, all these guys are asking for like, what, 2-3 million per season. We're not paying a guy that much, obviously, but even look at these guys down here. A guy like Lee Stepniak, I know he's asking for $1 million, but we could get a guy like this for probably under $1 million. See, all of these guys, starting from Paul Byron and down, there is nobody interested in these players. So that means these players are going to have to come down on what they're asking for. Like, look at some of these guys, like Chris Stewart and Brian Boyle. Like, what they're asking for, they're going to have to come down on price. Even Jamie McGinn, 1.9. I mean, they're not going to get that salary. So we have lots of options. Bottom line is all these guys are going to come down in price, and we will be able to easily sign 2 of these guys to our fourth line. So we have lots of options, as you can see down here when it comes to forwards. When it comes to that backup goalie position, well, let's get there right now. We can see we also have some options down here. We have Michael Norworth, Jimmy Howard, but again, I'm not wanting to pay them north of $1 million, but we do have some options down here. Kari Lettinen, even Anton Khobin, Antti Niemi, some options down here. I'm just looking for a guy that can come in and play behind John Gibson if needed. Again, we are praying that there's not going to be any injuries to John Gibson this season, so we just need a NHL backup that can come behind. Obviously, that Nick Schneider, he is not an NHL backup, so we just need a guy here, high 70s, that can come in and be a backup behind Gibson. And again, besides Jimmy Howard, there is no teams interested in any of these goalies, so they'll probably likely come down on price as well. We should be able to get one of these guys, probably like Khobin or Niemi, for under $1 million. Like, Antti Niemi's asking for $1 million. We could probably get him for under $1 million. But so we're going to do that. So that's what the forwards and the goaltending look like. We shouldn't have a problem getting some depth guys in both of those positions. But when it comes to defense, like I said, Mark Giordano, Dougie Hamilton, 86, 89, TJ Brody, 86, and then Rasmus Anderson, 76. It's a huge drop-off. Slater Cuckoo, 78, and Brett Kulak, 77, round out our top 6. I wouldn't mind adding another defenseman to that group. I said that in the last episode. So what I did is I went and I looked at every team, because we looked at free agency. There was no options there in free agency for defensemen. So what I did is I went through every single team here in the NHL. I went through all of their defensemen and seen what teams wanted to give up defensemen and what options we had to go and get a top 6 defenseman. Obviously, it's not going to be a top 4 defenseman, but a top 6 defenseman that has low salary. I found some options. And again, I'm going to get through this quick because I want to fly through this episode if we can. But I found some options, a few options. There was a few teams that wanted to get rid of players. It starts with Vegas. There was only a couple teams, actually, really. It starts with Vegas here, and we'll go to defenseman. So it's Jake Gardner. He's an 84. They want to get rid of him. Now, obviously, he's making $5.4 million. But they would have to retain some of that, or half of that salary, all of it if they could. So there was that option there. But again, there was also some other options here. If I can quickly go to it. Ottawa. Ottawa just re-signed Anton Strawman, and now they want to get rid of him. So he's making 4.7. Again, 84 overall. That's not bad. So these are 2 veteran defensemen that could come in if those teams could retain half the salary. But here's the problem. So even if we did get Anton Stroman, and even if we made Ottawa retain half the salary, not only would they have to accept retaining half of Stroman's salary, but you can see here it still would not work. If they retained exactly half of his salary, which is 2.388, we are still over the cap. We really are up against the cap, and obviously we can't We can't send out any more players. We have no more players to send out. So, I mean, we wouldn't even be able to get Anton Strawman or Jake Gardner from Vegas, which really puts us in a hoop because we have no other option. So, I was really stuck of what to do until I found this one team with this one player that perfectly, and I mean perfectly, would fit onto our team. I can't believe... Now, this team doesn't want to get rid of this player, but we could try to make this happen. Now, let's just quickly take a look at our draft picks. Because, like I said, at the end of episode 26, we stockpiled the draft picks. Because we made all those trades in episode 26, and we only took back draft picks because we didn't want to take on any more salary. So we only took back draft picks. Look at our draft picks for 2020. Again, we're not planning on going to the draft and picking players. We're planning on winning the Stanley Cup. So that means we have the ability to get rid of all these picks. 2 first-round picks from both Philadelphia for Sam Bennett and from St. Louis for Travis Hamonic. 2 second-round picks here that we got from the Predators and the Canes. We have 3 third-round picks. We have 3 fourth-round picks. So we are absolutely loaded when it comes, and then with 6th and 7th. But we are absolutely loaded when it comes to draft picks for this upcoming draft. We obviously have a lot of trading chips right here. I mean, we can afford to trade all of these draft picks away. I mean, not all of them, but most of them away. Especially these 2 firsts and these 2 seconds. They have the most trade value. They can really get us something back. So, I mean, we can use this to hopefully try and get a defenseman here. So, like I said, I went through all the teams. I looked at all the options. There's only one player on one team that makes sense. I think if we do not get this player, we will start the season with Rasmus Andersson in our top 4, and we will try and look at addressing our defensive core and upgrading that defense during the season as the season goes on. But we will take one last shot at trying to upgrade our defensive core after the loss of Travis Hamonic with getting one player, but I don't know if it's going to work because they don't want to get rid of him, and rightfully so. So that team is Carolina. So let's go to the Carolina Hurricanes, and let's go to defense. And here we go. So, defenseman. You can see here, when you look at this column, there's only one player that actually makes sense. Not Hayden Fleury. They do want to get rid of Hayden Fleury. But you go 3 down right here. Former Calgary Hitman Jake Bean. He is making $925K for the next 2 seasons. He's making under $1 million for a season. We could afford this guy. He's 84, low elite potential. But the fact that he's already an 84 at 21 years of age, I mean, this is going to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL for a long time. 21 years of age. Like I said, former Calgary Hitman defenseman. He's a Calgary native. Obviously very familiar with the Calgary organization. Yeah, the fact that he's only making $925 for the next 2 years, he's still in his entry-level contract, and he's already an 84. I mean, he could be penciled right into our top 4 right away, and he's still growing. Like, this would be a massive ad for us. But there's no way Carolina wants to get rid of this guy. So what we're going to try and do is pry him from the Hurricanes here, and we're going to try and trade away all of those draft picks and see if we can tilt the scale enough to get Jake Bean. I don't know if it's going to work. It's a long shot, but it's our last and final shot here in the offseason, because if we do not get Bean here, we don't have any other options when it comes to teams with defensemen, and we'll have to address that in the regular season, because we can't take any more time to focus on this anymore. We have to move forward, and we'll go after our backup goalie and our depth forwards. Again, that shouldn't be hard to do, but I really wouldn't mind adding one more piece here to our defensive core. This would basically be replacing Travis Hamonic, because Hamonic was an 83. Bean is an 84. If we can find a way to get Jake Bean, and then we basically traded Travis Hamonic for an upgrade, I mean, like, if we don't win GM of the year after this offseason, if we get Jake Bean, then I don't know what you have to do to win that award, because we completely re-gutted our team, and we're still, like, even look at Sam Bennett. We let Sam Bennett go, but we still, like, we let him walk, and we still got a first-round pick and a third-round pick back for him. Like, that's amazing. Anyways, let's see if we can find a way to get Jake Bean. So obviously we're gonna have to put in a first-round pick. So let's try putting in the Philadelphia first-round pick that we got from Philadelphia for Sam Bennett, and let's also try putting in the St. Louis first-round pick. We could try giving the Hurricanes their second-round pick back, Would that be? Oh, that might be enough if we gave them Phillies first and the second. Now you can see at the bottom there, this would go through. The only problem is they're not interested in trading away Bean. They're not interested in these picks. So it's probably not going to go through for that exact reason, because they're not interested in it. So we're probably going to have to really tilt the scale. But let's try offering a first and a second and see by some miracle if they accept this for Jake Bean. So let's propose a trade, and it is rejected. Yeah, so it's clear that they are not interested in trading away Bean, and they are not interested in draft picks. So let's try to sweeten it even more. What if we gave you Nashville second, Carolina second, your second, and Phillies first? So let's try offering a first and 2 seconds. Again, we're not basically losing anything because we have so many trade picks, or so many picks, that we can afford to do this. So let's see if this scale's really tilted in their favor. Let's see if this is enough. And it is. So they're happy to accept that. We consider it a done deal. That is massive for the Calgary Flames. So first and 2 seconds, that is a lot to pay. But again, this is Jake Bean, who can grow into a top 4 defenseman. He's already 84, and he's 21 years of age. I did not think that was going to go through. Somehow it just went through. That is so cool. So we have finally completed our retooling of our team in the offseason. We can now pencil in Jake Bean on our top 4 with TJ Brodie. So Brodie 86, Bean 84, and that just gives me a little bit more breathing room when it comes to our defense. I was really scared going into our season with Giordano, Hamilton, Brodie, and Anderson as our top 4, and then Kulak and Cuckoo. And now we have added an extra defenseman, Jake Bean 84. That gives us a lot more options. That is a lot better, I think, for our defensive core. After the loss of Travis Hamonic, I was really scared about our defensive core, but now it looks much better with the acquisition of Jake Bean from the Carolina Hurricanes. So, I mean, he's a perfect fit for our team for so many reasons, but especially that cap. The fact that he's only making $925,000 for the next 2 years really fits in well with our cap. He's 84. He could help us win now at 84. He's only 21 years of age. He's still growing. I mean, we just basically replaced Travis Hamonic with an upgrade, and we still got, I don't know, that was just good. Anyways, I'm not going to break that down anymore because we really have to move this episode. We have to get going here. This episode is already going pretty long, and like I said, I want to get into preseason and training camp. So what we will do here is we will start simming up a couple days, then we are going to come back to free agency. So let's go a week here. Should we go? Yeah, let's go 1 week, and then let's see what we've got in terms of that backup goalie and those forwards. So let's see now if some of those players came down on what they were asking for. So now all we have to do is add basically 2 more forwards on our 4th line and a backup goalie, and then we are done. We are absolutely done. So we have 2.3 to work with. So let's go to forwards here. Some of these players net by now should have came down and they haven't, but we will try offering some of these players some money. So let's see here. Well, you know what we should do is we should try offering Cedric Parquet a contract first. Yes, we'll do that first, but let's go to goaltending men first, seeing as we're on the screen. Okay, so there's still Kotobin, there's still Niemi, Michael Neudworth. He's asking for 1.6. Let's hang on here. Who's the top? Steve Mason. Yeah, I'm not giving Steve Mason 3.4, but let's try offering Neudworth 1 million flat. I'll give him 1 million for 2 years. He would be a pretty solid backup at 82 behind John Gibson. But all I can do is offer you 1 million because I've got no cap space to offer you 1.6. I barely have 2 million in cap space to begin with. So we will try offering Neudworth 1 million and see what he says, and then we'll if he does not accept that contract, we will try Kotobin or Niemi. I believe obviously we can get Niemi for 1 million, but I'll try and get Niemi for under 1 million. But I wouldn't mind Michael Neudworth at 1 million because he's 82. That'd be a huge ad behind John Gibson, just for some support. Let's go to team managements here. Let's go to view contracts, and let's see if we can offer Cedric Parquet a contract now. So let's go like this. This is huge. I can't believe we got Jake Bean. That was pretty good. Okay, so pending RFA, Cedric Parquet. So yes, Parquet is asking for 1.5. Obviously, on our 4th line, we're not paying him 1.5. You know, I even have trouble wanting to pay him $1 million. Like, I have to get this guy for under $1 million. What if we went $975K? 2 years. You have to come down, Parquet. We just can't afford to sign you for more than $1 million. We just don't have the cap space. We still have to add another forward and hopefully add a backup goalie. So let's go here and let's advance days and see if we can get these two players that we went for. So Parquet and Neudworth. So Cedric Parquet has rejected our offer. Yeah, okay. So yeah, he wants a higher salary. I have a feeling we might be letting Parquet go because we can't offer, you know. So we'll come back to Parquet, but let's see what. Still waiting on Michael Neudworth. So let's go to free agency while we're waiting and go to forwards and see what else is down here. So with Derek Roy being a center, we need 2 wingers. We need a right winger and a left winger then on our 4th line. So we've got options here. These guys, like I said, they're not going to get what they're asking for. Let's try the highest winger here. That's Matt Calvert. He wants 2.2. Let's see if we can get him for, like I said, under $1 million. Again, I don't think he's going to accept it, but he's got to come down on price here. Let's go like that. So $975K for 3 years. We're going to make a couple offers here. Paul Byron, wouldn't mind bringing this guy back to Calgary. Let's try offering him a contract, but again, it's going to have to be just under $1 million. Well, there's 2 other teams interested too. Yeah, so we're not going to get Byron then if there's 2 teams interested in him. Who else do we got here? We can try Joe Ward. See if he wants $2 million though. We're not going to get him for $2 million. Just trying to look here. Joey Anderson, we could try this guy. He only wants 1 year. That wouldn't be bad. We'll go $975K for him as well. We're just going to make quite a few offers here because we have to get some of these guys here. I'm just trying to look here. Richie, we could... I mean, there's Como as well. He's a veteran, but he's asking for 1 point. Is there guys down here that are asking for less? Here we go. We're asking P.A. Perito, Lee Stepniak. Let's try Lee Stepniak, another former Flame. He's asking for just over $1 million. Let's see if we can get him for just under $1 million. There as a right winger. There's a veteran, Chris Kunis, but he's asking for about 1.8. Here's a guy asking for under $1 million. Yorkie Nordstrom, but he is 77 as a depth forward. I wouldn't mind getting a guy that's in 78 range. So let's see what we got here first. Let's see if any of these guys accepted what we offered them. I think if any of them are going to accept, it will be Lee Stepniak. But we are also waiting on Michael Neudworth. So Neudworth has rejected. Obviously, he wanted more money. So I had a feeling with that. So let's go back to our goaltending then. And go to goalies here, and we'll go and see if we can get either Antti Niemi then or Anton Kuhobin. So Neudworth is still there. He's come down on. Oh no, he's still asking for 1.6. We could try and go after Niemi Kuhobin. Again, I don't want to give Neudworth any more than $1 million because we just don't have that cap space. What are we like at 2.3? Oh, no, we don't have that cap space to do that. So we will try Kuhobin or Niemi. I don't think it's going to matter from this point. Both are 78. Niemi is a little bit older. So let's try Kuhobin. And we could probably get him for under $1 million. So let's go $975K for you. He's asking for 2 years. That wouldn't be a bad backup behind Anton Kuhobin, behind John Gibson. So here we go. Still waiting on a bunch of players here. Let's advance here. I just don't think we're going to get it done with Cedric Parquet because he's not going to come down. So there's Lee Stepniak. He has accepted our offer. I had a feeling he would because he was the closest in terms of price range. 78 overall, right winger. That's huge. He is going to pencil in as our right winger on our 4th line now. Matt Calvert has rejected because he's going to the Anaheim Ducks. So that's okay because we got Lee Stepniak anyway. Joey Anderson has rejected. He has decided to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, so we lost a couple players there. So we'll have to go back to free agency, but we did get Lee Stepniak, so we can now pencil in Lee Stepniak, Derek Roy. We just need one more player on our 4th line, and then our 4th line is complete. So we're working with 2.4 in the cap. We're still waiting on Kuhobin to hear from him. Let's see here. Who do we have? Oh, like some of these guys are not going to accept any less. And I mean, Scott Wilson would be a perfect fourth line left winger. But again, he is asking for about 1.5. Let's see if we can wheel him under $1 million. So we'll offer him a contract. Michael Raffle, but I need guys that are going to be closer to $1 million here. So Tyler Ennis is asking for under $1 million. That's not bad. You know what? Let's try Tyler Ennis. 950. We could probably even get him for 900K. 1 year. I know he's a right winger, but we could put him on the left side there. Thomas Yerkel, he's asking for $1 million. We'll see what Ennis says. They're both 78, so it's not going to matter. We got some options down here as well. I mean, Yorkie Nordstrom, but he's 77. I wouldn't mind staying 78 or higher if possible. Chris Kunitz, we're not going to get him for 1.7. Let's see if those guys accept. We really just need to add one more player here. And we still have some guys in the AHL. That's the other thing. We do have guys in the AHL that are like 76, 77. So, I mean, worst comes to worst, we call up some guys from the AHL. But let's just keep advancing here. Cahoban has accepted, so that is huge. We have our backup goalie here now behind John Gibson. So we got him for under $1 million, so that's good. Still waiting, though, on our forwards. Hear from them. Really taking their time here. So we're almost in August here. In free agency, we're still waiting. There it is. Tyler Ennis has accepted our offer. That's huge. We now have our fourth line complete. Scott Wilson has rejected, and I believe that's everybody re-signed, right? So let's take a look now. So our roster is now complete. We have our backup goalie, we have our fourth line, and we still have 2.25 to work with. That's actually not bad. We could still add some depth players. So why don't we, I wouldn't mind adding another depth forward. Because now we have exactly 12 forwards. We'll let Cedric Parquet go. I mean, we could even offer Cedric Parquet what he's asking for now, but I don't want to pay a fourth liner. I mean, what other options do we have? Okay, Parquet is a centerman. Huh. I mean, there is other centermen out here. 78, 78. These guys are all 78. I mean, we do have options. You know what? Why don't we go to training camp, see what we have, and if we don't have what we like, we can come back here and look at some players. So, let's go like this here. Let's try offering Cedric Parquet one more contract. Now that we have some cap space to work with, see if we can bring him back as our 13th forward. Because I do want to bring him back. He was key on our team there, on our fourth line, as a depth forward. RFAs, that's what I'm looking at. Cedric Parquet. So he is asking for 1.4 now. I will give you 1.125. I will give you 1.125, 2 years. He's still growing too. Medium bottom 6, 25 years of age. I would not mind bringing you back, Cedric Parquet. If it does not work, though, that is okay. We have our 12 forwards now, and we can still go into free agency and look at depth. So now we are just going to sim right to training camp here. Again, this episode's going pretty long, I know, but I want to at least get into training camp here. So let's get right into about mid-August here. And let's see what Parquet says, and then we'll get ourselves right up to training camp. So here's an incoming offer. The Ottawa Senators still interested in Gabriel Jones. You remember last season they kept looking at Gabriel Jones. They do want to give us a veteran defenseman in Johnny Oduya, who's making 1.75K. I don't know if I want to bring in 1.75K. What's he at? 78. Yeah. Oh. If Oduya was like an 82, 81, 82 even, I would probably do this. I mean, defenseman. He's a veteran. Could really help our team. But he is making 1.75. Is there any way Ottawa would be interested in retaining some of that salary? Why won't it let me? Let's go here. Just see if Ottawa would be interested in retaining some of Oduya's salary, even though he's only making 1.75. Let's go Johnny Oduya. Okay. Let's see if they will. Let's see if they'll just retain half of his salary. And then I will be more than happy to make this trade go through. Gabriel Jones is a prospect that we actually were trying to trade. We're not going to use him. We drafted him in the 4th round there in 2018. Low top 9 potential, 60 overall. We could easily move on for him. I'll bring in Oduya if they take on half of his salary. Let's see if they will. It's rejected. Okay, so they don't want to take on half of his salary, so then this trade won't go through. So Cedric Parquet has rejected our offer. I thought he said accepted for a second. Rejected. So he still wants more than 1.25, I believe we offered him, or 1.125. He wanted 1.4. So we will circle back to Parquet here, but we will let these off-season get us right up to training camp. So we are mid-August now. Let's just get through the month of August. Nothing happens in August. And let's get ourselves right up to the edge of free agency here. Let's get right to the 31st of August, and then we'll enter a training camp. So it is your boss. I just want to check in. Yeah, use some kind of deal with Cedric Parquet. He is the only one holding on right now, so I figure, okay. Yeah, we'll work on Cedric Parquet here. We still have time. We still, I believe, up till December 1st. So now he's accepted our offer. What? I believe signing this will be good for my friend. Okay, so did our owner just take over and offer him a contract that I didn't know about? Or did he accept the offer we offered him? Huh. So there's that. Either way, Parquet's coming back, but for how much? I hope the computer just didn't offer him a random contract. Like, our owner didn't just offer him a random contract. I mean, clearly he wants Cedric Parquet back. I do too, but I just don't want to be paying a fourth liner $1.4 million. I mean, when we could use that cap space for other things, but I mean, we do have the cap space. I guess we did pretty good there, cleaning up the loose ends there in free agency to, to get a guy like Jake Bean for under $1 million, to get our backup goalie for under $1 million, to get, depth players for under $1 million. We did pretty good there. Let's see what we signed Parquet for. Let's go player picks and sign. Oh, we can't even. It's not going to show us anything. I hope it's not for over $1 million. I hope it's for what we offer him, $1.125 million, not over for what he was asking for. Let's go forwards here. Parquet. We also have Spencer Foot, 75, okay. Stepniak, 78, yeah, where's Parquet? There's Parquet. A $945K. Wow, that's not bad. So he took less than what we were offering him. It's only for 1 year, but 940. Wow, did that ever work out for us? That is amazing. We got him under $1 million, and we still have 2.1 to work. I am happy. Let's get right to training camp. I'm happy with the way everything worked out. Again, like I said in episode at the beginning of this episode, we really took a lot of risks in episode 26 with the moves we made. I think they're going to pay off for the better, but boy, did things really, finish strong for us. I mean, that's huge. Let's get right up to the 10th of September. I don't know when preseason training camp starts here. What are we looking at here for time? Yeah, this episode's running long, but we should be able to get into training camp, hopefully. Even at least a bit of it. Boy, did that ever work out, though, for us. We got some really good depth players. Lee Stepniak, Tyler Ennis, bringing back Cedric Parquet. Derek Roy was already there. Bringing in a Jake Bean was obviously the biggest one, and then bringing in Anton Kahobin as well, behind John Gibson. All these players for, under $1 million. I mean, that's incredible. So what are we doing here? When's preseason starting? Okay, so owner goals, yeah. He wanted us to build a second parking lot. I forgot to do that. We didn't have the funds anyway. I provided with extra money, so that is nice to see. Let's get ourselves to preseason training camp here. When's it going to start? Alright, so it starts on the 17th. So it is a new season. Let's just quickly take a look at his goals. He wants us to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, that's our goal as well. Still 85%, yeah, and our concession needs upgrading. Okay, we will work on that eventually. So perform roster moves and assign captains. I don't want to sign captains right now. I mean, we're going to go with the same captains as we had last season, which will be Mark Giordano as our captain, Sean Monahan and John Tavares wearing the A's. So we will not worry about that right now. But let's take a look at our lines now that we have the availability, to do that. So, yeah, here is what our lines look. Blake Wheeler's dropped to an 85. Shit. Okay. That's not good. He was an 86. He's already dropped to an 85. I didn't think he would drop this early, but he has. That's not good. But we'll hopefully he stays at an 85 and doesn't go down anymore. Third line looks like this. Mangiapane is now 79. So there you go. Mangiapane was what, a 78? So he's grown already by 1. So that is good. That shows that he's already starting to grow. So our third line now just consists of all 79 players. Again, I really want Jankowski and Mangiapane to grow this season. And then we have Parquet, Stepniak, and Ennis. So that's a pretty decent fourth line there behind our third line. And then we also have Derek Roy as our extra forward. And then we go here with Giordano Hamilton. Bean's already at an 85. So Blake Wheeler went down to an 85 from an 86. Bean goes up from an 84 to an 85. So Wheeler went down, Bean went up. That's good to see, though. He's continuing to grow Jake Bean, so I'm happy with that. That's a fair trade-off. And then Cuckoo and Kulak there. So Rasmus Anderson should be penciled in there. I would pencil him in over Brett Kulak, even though Kulak is one better. And then when it comes to goalies, Anton Hoban and John Gibson is an 89, so he went up by one as well. So that's big. So Gibson was an 88. He's gone up to an 89. So some players can starting to already grow, and the season hasn't even started. And then there's our extra players, Derek Roy and Wotherspoon, but again, we're going to replace Wotherspoon with Rasmus Anderson, because I want to grow Anderson instead. So he's probably in the AHL right now, but that's not bad. I mean, look at that. That is not bad. So let's go done for now. Let's get ourselves right up here to preseason training camp. I really wouldn't mind getting through that in this episode. How much time do we have? All right, let's see if we can fly through preseason training camp. Let's go like this first. Let's go team management. I just want to call up Rasmus Anderson, and then we'll go from here. So let's go like in the system. You know what? Oliver Chillington's a 78. Anderson's a 77. So Anderson dropped, but Chillington was moved up to 78. So let's call up Chillington too. Let's see what he has to offer. Let's call up. We got to send some players down. Okay. We won't need Dougie Hamilton right now. We won't need Johnny Gaudreau right now. Let's go into the system, and let's call up Rasmus Anderson, give him a shot. Spencer Foo's already a 77. Let's give him a shot. And then Mio Poirier and these guys, we won't worry about them. There's Yusuf Valimaki. He's moved up by 2 to 74. Another full season or 2, and he should be ready for the NHL. Would have liked to see him ready for the NHL now, though. So let's start preseason like this. Let's go like that. You know what? Our first line doesn't even need to be up there. I want to give all of our time to obviously our bottom guys. So let's put our third line here, see what they can do. Fourth line, we'll give them starting minutes, and then we'll pencil in Spencer Foos. Let's see if he can prove himself here in the training camp, and see if he can fight for a spot. So yeah, we'll substitute him in full lines. Doesn't matter. Defenseman. Let's go Bean in there, and Rasmus Anderson. Oh, we also have, okay, let's go substitute all lines. Let's take, no, I want to keep Bean in there. Let's take Giordano out. We know he's a lock to make the team. Let's bring in Oliver Chillington. Let's take Brody out because he's a lock to make the team. And let's bring in Wotherspoon. So with our defense, we're going to really see who is battling for a spot here. So we'll go Bean and Chillington. We'll give him the first minutes. We'll go Anderson and Wotherspoon and Kulak and Cuckoo. And we'll switch that up as the games go on. And what are we looking at here? 3-on-3. It does not matter here. Just put anybody there. Oliver Chillington, fine. What are we still looking at here? And then we'll just rotate Gibson and Cahoban. Fucking shoot up, really? Bean can come in the shootout for no random reason. Okay. In the AHL, just go best lines for now in the AHL. Does not matter. So we're just testing our NHL team out here in training camp. Let's get right into it. And then we will end this episode after training camp. And start next episode with the regular season story. Okay, so let's get to the first game of training camp here. Preseason / training camp. We're just going to do real-time sim quickly. So let's go like this here. Go by goals. And let's go first period. And lots of scoring in the first period. Cuckoo, Bean, Mangiapane, and Tyler Ennis, excuse me, scores. So we're at 4-2. Second period, nothing. Third period, Kulak and Tavares. So we easily handle the Edmonton Oilers, 6-2. Not going to look at stats because we got to fly through this right now. Usually I take a little bit more time here in preseason training camp, but we really got to fly through this. This episode's going pretty long. We don't need to allocate budget. Come on, what are you doing? Auto set promotion lights. We don't need to do that. You know what? We're gonna leave John Gibson in. Let's go Gibson for the first half of preseason. So let's. You know what? Let's fly through this. Let's go like this. Let's just sim, and then we'll look at our stats after here. I don't think... Like I said, usually what I do in the preseason is I put all of our bubble players... yeah, we'll do that. Worry about that later. I put all of our bubble players on the roster, and I make them fight out for a spot. But this preseason / training camp, we already know which guys we have on our NHL roster. Like, we already know which guys we want to make our NHL roster. We're just giving guys like Spencer Fu one last shot on trying to make that team, make the big club, and see if anybody can surprise us in the preseason and fight for a spot here. So let's just let's try giving Slater Cuckoo some minutes there. Let's go like this. Just switch things up there quickly. Let those guys fight for the final spots there. And good at goaltending, we'll put Kahobin in for the last half of the preseason / training camp, and then we will evaluate our players, see how they did, and then we'll make our decision of who makes the team. But we already pretty much know who's making the team. Like I said, let's finish off preseason training camp. Like I said, it's probably pretty clear which guys are already making the team. It's just for those like final bubble players. We're just looking at that 7th defenseman and maybe the 13th forward to see who they are. So we'll let Spencer Fu audition for that, and we'll let Oliver Chillington. Those are really the only guys. So we got to be a salary cap complaints, by the 2nd of October. So we will make sure we do that now that preseason is over. Waivers got to be by the 3rd. Okay, so we will do that all now. All right, so preseason training camp over. We went 4-2-1 in the preseason. That's not bad. Again, we're expected to be a Stanley Cup contender, but we didn't put our full roster together. So let's just look at how our players did here in preseason. And again, this episode is running really long here, but we'll quickly finish this off by looking at our preseason training camp, and then we will be able to start episode 28 with the regular season, our 3rd full season. So Tavares led the way, no surprise, but there's Spencer Fu, 7 points in 7 games +1. I wonder if he fights for a spot on our NHL roster. He is 77, high top 9 potential. That's going to be interesting. We'll have to make a decision on him in the next episode. Monahan, Neal, Jankowski, good to see him put up 5 points in 7 games. Good to see Jake Bean put up 4 points, although he was a -2. Oliver Chillington was a +4 and 3 points. Like, he's fighting for a spot, too. So we've got some tough decisions. Both Spencer Fu and Oliver Chillington has really made a statement in the preseason / training camp. Let's see who did not do good. Slater Cuckoo didn't do too good. Just 1 point and a -2. Wotherspoon, a -3. So he's definitely not going to crack the team. Parquet was a -1. -2 for Lee Stepniak. Anderson really just stayed idle. So I think it's clear that we'll send Wotherspoon back. And we will maybe bring up Oliver Chillington, because if we send Wotherspoon back, we can keep Chillington as our 7th defenseman. So I wonder if Oliver Chillington makes the NHL opening day roster, but not on the starting lineup over Wotherspoon. And then I wonder if Spencer Fu cracks as our 13th forward. So we've got options anyway as we look at it. It's good to see both Spencer Fu and Oliver Chillington come through in the preseason / training camp and fight for a bubble spot, but pretty much we're going to stick with that lineup that we already have from last season and that we reconstructed in this offseason. So that was fun. That was episode 27. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a longer episode. We did focus in on finishing the offseason the right way. We obviously, the big move was bringing in Jake Bean. That was a massive trade, but we also got quite a few good depth players. Lee Stepniak, Tyler Ennis, brought back Cedric Parquet, all for under $1 million. And then we also went and got a backup goalie for under $1 million. So pretty successful finish to the offseason, if I do say myself. And then pretty good start to us training camp and preseason. We're looking really good going into our 3rd season with the Calgary Flames and looking to get ourselves back to the Stanley Cup Finals where we belong. So that does it for episode 27. In episode 28, we begin the regular season and our march back to the Stanley Cup Finals.